The origin of Jamaica. The original inhabitants of Jamaica were the Arawaks, also called Trinos. They came from South America 2,500 years ago and named the island Samaca, which means land of woods and water. They were a simple people by nature. Physically, they were light brown, short, and well-shaped with black hair. They grew cassava, sweet potatoes, corn, fruits, vegetables, cotton, and tobacco. They built villages all over the island and they fished to get food. By the way, fish was a major part of their diet. They lived quiet and peaceful until they were destroyed by the Spaniards some years after Christopher Columbus discovered the island in 1494. The discovery of Jamaica was on May 5, 1494, when Christopher Columbus landed in Jamaica. He found the Arawak Indians in the island, and they were attacked by the Spaniards. Some of them were killed in this attack. Later, Columbus was able to land the island. But in 1645, the British captured Jamaica from the Spaniards, and finally in 1670, Spain formally ceded the island to Britain, and 2 years later, the Royal Africa Company, a slave trading enterprise, was formed. The company used Jamaica as its chief market, and the island became a center of slave trading of the Maroons to retain their freedom. But in 1740, the British authorities recognized the right to freedom.
Jamaican slave trade. The premise that slaves were not more than property allowed slave owners to treat them brutally. The severity of this brutality varied, and slaves on large sugar estates generally suffered the highest punishments, while those on smaller estates and in towns received somewhat better treatment. Jamaican music. The music of Jamaica follows the history of the island, as major changes occurred socially and politically. New genres of music were created to make standards voice heard, and this means that it's a form of entertainment and a way to express themselves and what is meaningful to them. Also, the famous reggae is Bob Marley, and it has popular music events, and there are several festivals each year that celebrate various genres of Iceland music. This festival is called Reggae Stonefest. Food. Jamaican food. Jamaican food are usually made from fresh meats, vegetables, and seasoning, making a majority of food found in Jamaica relatively healthy. And it has many influences on preparation methods, and ingredients range from Great Britain and Africa to as far as China and East India. And the most popular food is jerk, a marinade that can be added to almost anything, but usually is meat. The English attack. On May 10, 1645, Admiral William Penn and General Robert Venables led a successful attack on Jamaica. The Spaniards surrendered to the English, freed their slaves, and then fled to Cuba. It was this set of freed slaves and their descendants who became known as the Maroons. The early period of English settlement in Jamaica drew much attention to buccaneers based at Port Royal. Buccaneering had begun on the islands of Tortuga and Hispaniola, and they took their gold to Port Royal. It's important to mention that Port Royal to these times was an insignificant town in Jamaica, and Henry Morgan was the greatest buccaneer captain. The Jamaican Constitution. The Jamaican Constitution was established in 1962 and is the most fundamental legal document in the country that guarantees freedom, rights, and privileges of every Jamaican citizen. Also, the Constitution reflects the country's independence as a nation state. Finally, this constitution was established on August 6, 1962, when Jamaica gained political independence from Britain. Famous writers and novels. The novels are based on poetry or even technical writing and fiction and non-fiction. The most famous writer is Marlon James. He wrote the Book of Night Women. This book is a sweeping, startling novel and is about slave women who born into slavery on Jamaican sugar plantation at the end of the 18th century.
Now let's talk about the Jamaica culture. A very important aspect in this is the Jamaican national flag, which was first raised on August 6, 1962. This signified the birth of this nation. This flag consists of a diagonal cross with 4 triangles placed side by side. The diagonal cross is gold. The top and bottom triangles are green, and the fly side triangles are black. The traditional clothing. The traditional clothing includes colorful and usually handmade dresses from calico cloth. Calico is generally stripped similar to a ply. These dresses include skirts. Rastafarian influenced clothes are of particular interest to tourists and include red, green, and gold, which are the colors of the flag. One of the most important aspects of Rastafarian clothing is that it is made from natural fibers. Also important in this is the tam, which is a hat that covers the dreadlocks. On the other hand, we have the theater. The theater in Jamaica has a very rich history. The island's first theater opened in the 17th century, and writers that live on the island start to produce their plays. Today, the visitors are always invited to stop in and see a play or musical. Also, we have the Jamaican artists, and the most famous artists of this country are Bob Marley, Sean Kingston, Sean Paul, Peter Tosh, Oliver Samuels, Paul Campbell, and Grace Jones.
Origin of the language. Although the official language of Jamaica is English, the Jamaicans speak an English dialect called Patois English, which has roots in British English, but also Asian and African languages. Due to the mingling of Jamaicans' diverse cultures. Moreover, the Jamaican Patois dialect first arose out of a cultural expression of the Jamaican people and rebellion against their cultural roots and ethnic oppression. Language is another way in which Jamaica demonstrates its meld culture. Although Jamaican's official language is English, many of its residents speak with their own linguistic styles. There are even differences from village to village. The main ingredients of Jamaican languages steep are Spanish, African, English, including Irish, British, and American idioms, and even Rastafarian. On Jamaican, you might hear your shoes referred to with the word Spanish zapatos, and you might talk about where to kneel, an African word meaning eat. However, you may also hear terms you're too more familiar with, like cool. The family also has roots in slavery, as the slaves found way to combine the language of their owner with their own African tongue. Political situation of Jamaica is still connected with the crown? Yes, because the monarchy of Jamaica is a constitutional system of government in which hereditary monarch is as the sovereign of Jamaica. The terms Crown in Right of Jamaica, Her Majesty in Right of Jamaica, or the Queen in Right of Jamaica may also be used to refer to the entire executive of the government of Jamaica. Although the Jamaica Crown has its roots in the British Crown, it has evolved to become a distinctly Jamaican institution, represented by its own unique symbols. The present monarch is the Queen Elizabeth II, official title Queen of Jamaica, who has reigned since 6 August 1962. She, her consort, and other members of the royal family undertake various public and private functions across Jamaica and on behalf of the country abroad. However, the Queen is the only member of the royalty family with any constitutional role, holding ultimate executive authority, so her royal prerogative remains bound by laws enacted by her in Parliament and by conventions and precedents, leaving the day-to-day exercise of executive power up to her cabinet, while several powers are the sovereign alone. Most of the royal constitutional and ceremonial duties in Jamaica are carried out by Queen Representative, the Governor General. Religion, spiritually, take many forms in Jamaica, but all are reflected in the local culture. The Guinness Book of World Records determined Jamaica to have the most churches per square mile of any place on the planet. The island hosts many different Christian denominations, including Anglicans, Baptists, Catholics, Methodists, Seventh-day Adventists, and Presbyterians, but the religions are not only Christians. Jews, Hindus, Muslims, Baha'is, and Rastafarian and call Jamaicans home. Visual arts. Jamaicans take pride in their artistic style, influenced by the island's unique culture as well as European, American, and African art forms. Islanders have mastered a style of their own. The nation has produced many famous artists including sculptor and painter Edna Mounley. Craft. Although the equally artistic local craft fall out of the visual arts category and into one of their own. On the island, there are many artisans who create goods of local, natural materials, and they do so by hand. You can get your own hands on any numbers of these goods by visiting a local craft fair where you will find such items as glass pottery animals, straw hats made of plant leaves, and batik clothing. In the Rastafarian culture is of particular interest to you, you will also be able to find wood carving that are typically made of red hardwood.